Cartels, protests, smoking bans. It seems like there's a lot of chaos going on right now in Cancun. Or is that just more media hype? Well, 3 days and Tres Noches just got back from Cancun on February 1st, 2023. And we actually had a dinner outside the resort with some of our friends who are locals and filled us in on everything that is going on in Cancun right now and wanted to update you as well. First, I'm going to tell you about our own experiences that we've had in Cancun. So, we've been there 15 times and never ever have had an issue. This past week was the same. We flew into the Cancun airport. Now, there are some changes there. So, definitely check out the video that I just did about the Cancun airport. But we always feel very safe. In fact, we do go off the resort. This past time, we jumped on the public bus and we went into the hotel zone and we shopped. And at night, we went into some of the clubs. And those areas, especially Playa del Carmen, Tulum, and the hotel zone in Cancun, they are heavily guarded. So you're going to see, armed guards. You're going to see a lot of police because they want those areas to be as safe as possible. They want tourists to feel safe so that they keep coming into their country. So I feel safer on the streets of Playa del Carmen and hotel zone in Cancun than I do in downtown Newark, which is where I live here in New Jersey. I also grew up in Baltimore, which is one of the most dangerous cities in the entire world. So I always feel very, very safe. With that being said, you never even have to leave the resort if you don't want to have an amazing vacation. In fact, the all inclusive resorts in Cancun make sure that they provide everything and anything that you need to have a really fun vacation because they know that most tourists are not comfortable going off of the resort. One thing I would spend money on is a private transfer from the airport to the resort for a few reasons. One is it is safer. Two, you don't have to share a ride with other people and they're dropping off at all these different resorts. So if you follow us, I always use Nacho Tours. I'll put his information in the description below. And also in the video that I just uploaded, there's a little bit more information about that. So let's talk the Uber and taxi protest that actually closed off the streets from the airport to the hotel zone. It actually left quite a few tourists stranded, and it was scary for some people. So I understand why some people would be fearful about that. Well, this has been resolved. The government is has intervened, and that protest was, I guess, really what woke them up because really the taxi drivers in Cancun have to pay taxes, they have to pay fees, they have to pay insurance to be able to work from the airport into the hotel zone and all of the different areas. However, when Uber came, since it was a private company, they didn't have to go by the same regulations. And honestly, they felt that it wasn't fair and the government wasn't listening to them. So after this protest, they are now listening. Uber is not available from the airport. Now, you might be able to access the app and off the areas of the airport use them. But honestly, I would not recommend using Uber right now in Cancun until this is resolved because, the taxi drivers are not happy about it, which again, we understand. And so I would just stay again with the private transfer that I mentioned. I would always get private transportation. I even stay away from taxis unless it's from the resort itself. And because often they have certain taxi drivers that they work with. And Nacho, who is our transportation company, and also has to follow all of those strict regulations and pay all those fees as well to be able to transport people from the airport into the different areas. Has said that the government is resolving it. They're in negotiations with Uber and trying to see if they can come to some agreement, but for now to stay away from Uber. Okay, so let's talk cartels. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you about this. I don't feel fully informed, really, even to talk about it. Honestly, don't pay attention to it because I grew up in Baltimore, like I said, which is one of the most dangerous cities in the country. And they're not called cartels there. They have gangs, there's drugs. I live near Newark, New Jersey. So I just live my life. I don't pay attention to those things. However, I did ask Nacho about the recent incident with the capture, and I guess the cartels were shooting at a plane, but that was all the way in Mexico City. So anytime something like that happens, they seem to group Cancun into it because the media does not want you to leave the United States and go to a different country to vacation. They want you to vacation, in their state. So, are there cartels in Cancun? Obviously, yes, there are. I do feel the incidences with tourists are far less than some of the things that even happen here in the US. But with that being said, I do understand why some people do feel fearful. And if that is a real fear for you, then Mexico may not be the place for you. There are tons of beautiful destinations to go to. However, I just want to reiterate that don't let that hold you back from at least trying Cancun because again, you can just go from the airport to the resort and back to the airport and have an amazing vacation. And if you do decide to go off the resort, then just use regular safety precautions like you would here, especially like going to a big city like New York. So the problems really happen when people get way too drunk to the point where they don't know what's going on. So when you do see that those things in the media about tourists dying, if you start really looking into it, usually it's large amounts of alcohol or it's drug related. Okay, so now let's talk about this smoking ban. Thankfully, that doesn't affect me because I don't smoke, but I know it may affect a lot of tourists because Mexico just passed one of the strictest smoking bans, I think, in the world. So they are imposing a total ban of smoking in all public places. So that means beaches, hotels, and parks, which I know can really affect some people's vacations that like to smoke, especially on the beach. Now, how they will actually enforce this, I think, is the bigger question. Again, we were recently there. We saw nobody smoking on the beach. I don't know if it's just because that's where we stayed, but they do say that there are very hefty fines for people that are found on the beach smoking and for the resorts and hotels that are allowing it. So this could definitely have a major impact on tourism in Mexico because in the past there were designated areas that you could smoke, like even if you couldn't smoke on the beach. But now, according to this ban, you can't even do that. You cannot smoke in a public place at all. So not even in your rooms at the resort because that's considered a public place since you're staying at a hotel. Now, whether they are actually going to enforce this law or not, I can't speak to. All I can say is we just got back from LeBlanc, which is in the hotel zone, and there was absolutely no smoking. So, if you've recently been to, a resort since the smoking ban, and you have anything to add, please drop that in the comments below. So, as far as if there is a lot of chaos going in Cancun, I personally consider this very minimal chaos compared to the things that are going on in our own countries and cities. So, don't let that deter you from coming to Cancun. I personally have been coming here for quite a few years. I've been here over 15 times, and it really has nothing to do with budget or money. I just love the ease of coming into Cancun because you can find very budget friendly. You can find very high end. We just got back from LeBlanc. There's a lot to choose from. And the Cancun government does make it very easy for you to come in and come out because they do appreciate their tourists that do come and vacation with them. With that being said, you have to feel good about going on vacation. You don't be worried or stressed. And if Mexico really does that to you, then this is not the destination for you. You should pick a different destination. The world is huge. There are a ton of places that you could go that maybe you're going to feel more safe and you're going to feel better and more confident about vacationing in. So I hope you found this video helpful. And if you are new to this channel, 3 Days and Trace Noches is not a travel agency or a travel vlog. We just bring you honest, to the point information, reviews, and tips about the travel destinations that we go to and show you you don't need a whole week to have an amazing vacation. So please like and subscribe. Keep following us. We have a ton of trips planned this year, different destinations, not just Cancun. So stay tuned.